I am the Commissar, that's my name. Forged alliance forever, that's the game. And who have we got with a claim to fame? Well, 8 players are facing off on a ladder map. And you say, wait a minute, didn't we just see this map last cast? Yes, you are quite correct, well remembered. But that is because we have another exciting game on this map, and whereas the last one was a long and drawn out back and forth, this one is going to be somewhat more brutal and somewhat more brief. So, without further ado, let's meet the teams. On the Peninsula position for Khal's team, we have Sladow-Noob, 1397 rated, Seraphim in Cyan. In the air position, and indeed going first air, we have BeregiSvoyPookan. I don't know what that means or even what language it might be, but that's his name. He is 1146 rated and Cybran, he's in Mauve, and he's opened first air. Moving along, we've seen this fellow more than once before. This is L to the Eon, he's 1395 rated, he is dark blue and he's playing UEF. And last but not least, on the east coast position, and we can see him walking forward there, we see Sladow-Noob. He is by far the highest rated player in the game at 2,287, and he is playing Seraphim in baby blue. And now their opponents. You can see him out in the water already, far off in the distance, walking away. That, my friends, is novaspace. He is 1620 rated, he is Cybran, and he is in brown. In their air position, though earlier we saw him asking not to be air, we have Khal. We've seen Khal before as well. He's 1450 rated, he is Seraphim, and he's in orange. In the naval position, this is Baller. Baller is 1585 rated, he's UEF, and he is in Burgundy. And last but not least, in the west coast position, this fine UEF fellow is HerrscherOfDeath, 1622 rated in red. We've seen him before under the name Sladow-Noob. The map, we saw at the last cast, but let's quickly go over it again. Bits of reclaim dotted around, not much. These mexes are underwater. These islands you can walk onto as well as fly onto. And unsurprisingly, we've got both Soul Ripper and Nova heading across their respective inlets to make beachheads on the opposing coastlines. Although it looks like Soul Ripper has chosen to expand with more engineers, whereas Nova is going it alone and being greedier in his base. Transport out from Baller, he's trying to drop this island. You can walk up onto it, and indeed that's exactly what his opposite number error is doing. But not only is Baller getting there faster, he's got more NGs, which it looks like he's going to drop possibly here and here. Yeah, look at that. Sladow already getting out a lot more spam from here than Herrscher is. Herrscher being a little greedier in his expansion with the engineers and a little slower in getting his spam out. All those Selines running forward. Get a look at what Nova is doing there. Now we have got a bomber out from Sladow. Presumably he's just waiting to see if Khal or Baller will drop there, but Khal has a scout here and will probably have seen it. A stream of engineers crossing the water for Soul Ripper. Nova still being more conservative there, although he has already got up two land factories with his comm, and I think that's the second only just completed for Soul Ripper. Although Soul Ripper's putting up a third, Nova isn't. And Nova is now transporting out to this island, but he's got to be careful, because there's that bomber from Sladow, there's fighters from Air, and it's been pung. So they know it's coming. That's 5 engineers landing, and they immediately start working on an AA turret because they've scouted that air position. But that's a... Is that Zeus from Sladow going to do the work? It is. Its bomb gets away, though it's shot down as the bomb's fallen by the anti-air turret into fire burns. But this engineer survives with just 3 hit points remaining. Out of 5 engineers, this one survives with 3 hit points. The air factory is started. I'd have gone for a land factory here. I know it's an island, but... Well, this is why. Here's a drop coming in from Sladow, and he's put 4 engineers down there. He considers it a turret, but I think he's going to think better of it and go for a land factory. That's what I will be doing. And look at that nice split to stop exactly the same thing happening to him. And he was right to split. There was a bomber coming in from Khal, but Error managed to block it. Meanwhile, over here, Baller drops onto this island with 6 engineers, while a 7th one comes across from where he dropped it here. Now remember, these mechs are underwater, so you can't shoot them from the surface. And we also have engineers coming out from Beregi. Is he Oh, he's planning to drop here rather than drop on this island. Will this lone engineer find it has a problem when it runs into this crowd from Baller? And Khal is also bringing his comm forward here, which is just as well. This tank pops off the NG from Nova before it can finish this factory. Yes, I should have said he should have gone for a land factory. Well, he wouldn't have finished it either way, so he should have not died to that bomber, I guess. Either way, that comm has a bit of an emplacement to take down, but I think there's enough for the comm to take. Especially if he supports it with these Zuis, which he's bringing across. Nova is up here fighting Sladow Spam. He's got Spam of his own. He's got a comm against a little bit of T1. He shouldn't have a problem dealing with that. Slightly more spam on spam fight here, and it looks like Herrscher has the advantage over Soul Ripper in terms of numbers. Out comes Khal. He could probably overcharge that frigate. But he doesn't. Does he have overcharge? We can check that from here. Khal does have overcharge, yes, but he doesn't have a great deal of power overflow and therefore isn't going to be able to do it often. If I were bringing my comm out like this, he hasn't even got the gun, so he's naked. I would 100% make sure I have overcharge for that. Nova's getting the gun. Ooh, Beregi is incorrect here. He says they're mechs which are bugged because he can't build. That's because he doesn't have water vision, and he loses that reclaim wall. He doesn't have water vision, and so with those NGs, because, well, they're NGs, and so he doesn't see that they've already been built by Baller. These submarines and this Thunderhead would tell him that if he got there, but they weren't there. I mean, now he knows because that Thunderhead will be able to see it. And Sladow has just... Is that T3 he's going for? That looks like T3. Ella is also going for T3. What have we got here? And indeed, Khal has been able to set up camp on this island and evict Sladow. So now, Hot Team has both the 2 mid-islands. And although Baller has positioned himself quite conservatively coming across here, with his comm there and Herrscher's there, and Herrscher has the gun upgrade, Baller doesn't, it seems as if they'll be able to drive Soul Ripper back. Soul Ripper's got T2, but a gun comm beats the T2 comm. Good naval raids here though, under the water, killing the water mexes for the Hot Team. They've killed those, they're likely to kill that one. Gun upgrade also for Sladow. That's quite a tough comm. There's a drop from Nova here. Pokes around the back. I wonder whether that'll get in anywhere. We'll see in a moment. This little force is moderately formidable, but when there's 2 comms to pincer it, one with the gun, I don't think it's going to get very far. And I think that if those 2 comms work together, they'll clean it up pretty nicely. very balanced eco at the moment between the two teams. Map control about even. Slight advantage here to the hot team though in the middle. But what's this I see? That is Sladow picking up his comm, his T3 gun comm in a transport and flying somewhere. L completes his T3 and he's given a transport at T2 to Soul Ripper, who's got gun T2 and is about to have nano. Could this be a multiple comm drop? 2 comms with T2 transports getting ready to make an attack. Now that's quite a courageous move from Soul Ripper, at least, because he's got 2 comms coming in against him right here with a decent amount of spam. But it looks like that might be the case. Make that 3 comms! 3 comms! A triple comm drop! Khal moves across here to support Nova. So we've got Khal and Nova heading up here with their comms. Baller and Herscher heading up here with their comms. But we've got a triple comm drop going the other way from Code Team. Slight dodge there to avoid these fighters, but there's a lot of air, as it's been seen. There's a lot of air here from L and from Sladow. And in they come. The transport is taking fire, but Sladow makes it down. And L has been coming in unnoticed behind him. Meanwhile, Soul Ripper gets the drop here. L lands. Factories immediately flung up for Sladow, and he quickly follows it with a T2 point defense, and he's got a second one queued up. L has gone through a T1 point defense, and this is a bit of a problem for him because there's T2 point defense in Baller's base. There is a T2 point defense going up for Soul Ripper, but there are pillars rushing towards it. It should be enough to cope with the cover, but that's a lot of T2 production, and we'll have to make sure Soul Ripper is okay in a minute. And also, let's take note of this. We've got a Zooey raid charging in here from Khal, while he sends his navy out to counter L's, and it looks like he's got a lot more navy than L. Meanwhile, L himself is down into the yellow and has been pushed off his attempt at a beachhead. He's retreating towards Sladow, who is doing rather more successfully with his. He's got point defences up. Though it looks like he's having a bit of trouble with the shape of the terrain. He kills this T2P gen though, which is nice. And he kills the shield gen. Meanwhile, he's producing engineers at these factories. Over here though, Soul Ripper, out of health, out of a problem, he's being swarmed by pillars and shields. And Soul Ripper, I think his drop might be not quite as successful. Soul Ripper is losing health. 1700 hit points, 1400 hit points, the pillar fire rains down upon him. 700! Boom! Soul Ripper is taken out, leaving only 2 of these comms having done their drop. Again, T1 point defenses built by L trying to sneak in here, and now that these point defenses from Sladow have also done some work, Sladow and L are both deep into the yellow though, and there's still a lot of T2 point defenses up. And frigates facing the other way. Meanwhile, we're rushing a T2 factory from Khal, and he's almost got a destroyer out. This could be very treacherous times for these 2 bold comms. Meanwhile, again, Nova has dropped up here while his comm pushes in against the front base, or what used to be the front base, I guess that's his front base, of Sladow. However, lots of T2 subs out for Beregi, who has seen off the attack from Khal and saved L's navy. Meanwhile, Herscher, gun T2, going for tactical missile, but he hasn't cleaned this up, and that could be a problem if there's a big push out from this, which has been handed over to Beregi to handle. the destroyer that we mentioned earlier comes in. And this is also interesting. This is a T3 air HQ. It hasn't got the power to produce air units, but it can produce T3 NGs, and those could produce Ravagers if allowed to escape. So that's something that Sladow and L will have to be careful of. Meanwhile, more factories and more T2PDs going up for Sladow, who has retreated a bit from the waterline and is building T2RT in order to counter these destroyers, of which there are now 2. That's a good move. However, thanks to the 2 comms and the spam and the fact that all of his attention is down here, Sladow is losing a lot to Nova at the top. T3 Air HQ has gone down. Beregi's subs arrive to fight the destroyers. One of the destroyers is taken out. Another one is on only half health. And Sladow is backing it up with a wave of Zoids from these factories, which can of course float out to shoot at the Navy. Several of these naval yards might go down to the Zoi fire. Meanwhile, mobile TMLs dropped in by Herrscher from his base over here, and it looks like he's flying more in. And Herrscher has picked up his comm. Where's that coming? Well, that looks like it's coming over here to join the front line in what used to be Borer's base. And the Zois and subs have taken out 4 of these naval yards and look to be taking out a 5th, but the HQ, the heavily assisted HQ, is still up. And there's a huge line of torps to defend against the subs, and frigates and destroyers will, especially Sarah destroyers, will make a mess of the Zois. So this might not be enough from Sladow to clean this up. And meanwhile, Nova has also gone for T2 to support Khal. Up here, Sladow's base, his original base, it's about to die. And as if that weren't enough, we've got Zois coming in from Khal. However, Borer's original main base, not his sudden expansion, look, there's the drop from Herrscher. Anyway, Borer's original main base is flattened, Khal's original main base is flattened, and there's a... that must be reclaimed for a moment, yeah, but there's still 100 eco lead for the Khal team. Why don't you tell me at this stage who you think is going to win? Go down to those comments and tell me while you're down there, like, subscribe, obey, and give me your opinions. Of course, I won't know if you cheat and look to the end, but you will. So these Zois are diverting towards L's base because Sladow's original base is completely cleared up. And it's all Beregi doing the eco here. He's got 270 compared to 88 and 24, thanks to Sladow having been utterly cleaned up. And Sladow moves again. His comm is in the air and he drops into Nova's main base. Meanwhile, with that TML comm, Herrscher is pushing in and he's massing pillars that he's dropping in across with his transports here. This could be a problem for L. Another wave of submarines comes in, but there are 3 Sarah destroyers backed up by T1 subs here, and well, sub-hunters are good against subs, they're less good against destroyers. L will have his work cut out defending on both these sides. He has got a decent amount of T2PD, and there is this T2RT from Sladow, and there's also a T2 missile launcher here, which could have some fun. We'll see whether that does anything. And did I see another RT there? Oh, Ravagers also, that's nice defense. And Herrscher is dropping Solar's base, now under the control of Beregi, with T2 tanks. So this could be quite bold, as I imagine that Beregi is focusing elsewhere. Meanwhile, Borer's comm is pushing forward, but that is a lot of Ilshis that Beregi has put in this base. He's got a tactical missile launcher, which has already killed a couple of things. Lots of things going on at once. Khal and Nova are both bringing their combat, and Sladow has tried to get set up here, but he's found that with the Sathems here, with these Sarah destroyers here, and now with these cruisers, he's having a little bit of an issue. car desperately seeking power there. How badly is he stored? Quite badly, not super badly, but quite badly. However, this terrain is pretty flat, and these several destroyers will probably be able to hit Sladow, and they can. Meanwhile, Herrscher cleaning up some of his base, but look at this. Baller is being chased down by the Ilshis. I think we need to go to split screen here. And here we are. Baller, he's got turrets here. He had a bit of T2 PD, he's only got T1 PD left. Sladow down to 6,000 hit points. Baller down to just 4,600. He might make it to the water if he runs, but also he might not, because Ilshis aren't that slow. They're not super fast, not so, but Sladow down into the red as destroyer fire and Cyber and Cruiser fire rains down upon him. The destroyers move in. There's no way he's getting out of this. 1,900 hit points. Boom! Baller goes up in smoke, and Sladow is not far behind. One comm from each team killed. Back to single screen. And immediately we have to look up here. These Zoes have come into Elzold base, though Beregi is still in his base. He's been dropped by Nova. And Nova's Wagens are also pushing into the base of El here. However, this drop comes across and sandwiches El's base. Meanwhile, though, we have Tech 3 Navy and battleships are under construction and have been built. So this drop from Herrscher has wiped out Silver base, and Beregi looks to be sandwiched, but he's got a battleship defending. However, El is less lucky here, and this looks like it's going up. Down here, the bombardment is slowly creeping down here, and El will have to defend pretty carefully, but he's tactical missiling, he's artillerying. Looks like this has been given over to Khal by Herrscher, who was presumably hoping to concentrate back here, because those Ilshis have pushed on down and they're getting into this army, but that's a big army, and I think those Ilshis are going to die. With El's base mainly cleared up, Beregi is getting sandwiched, but now he's got a second battleship out in defence, and look at it cleaning through these T2 units. The Navy from El comes back to defend, but that isn't really much, and what's it going to do? Down here, a patrol of submarines comes along, ready to catch out anything trying to cross the water. Beregi positioning them well there, and a tactical missile hits Herrscher, taking him down into the red. He notices and he runs for the water, but I don't think he doesn't know about those subs, so that could be quite the error on Herrscher's part. However, these Ravagers are able to fire, but these cruisers are able to fire further. Meanwhile, here comes Herrscher into the water. He's slowly regenerating into the yellow, but immediately the Barracudas turn and unleash a torrent of torpedoes into him, and he tries to flee, but it's too late. Boom! Herrscher goes up in smoke, and now we are down to 2v2. However, so these T2 units from Herrscher that came across here have been cleared up by the battleships. And the battleships have repositioned themselves here, but look at El's base, it's been completely destroyed, and look at the eco, despite all this, despite having two main bases destroyed, and despite them, last time we checked, being 100 ahead, Cold Team are now 100 behind. They've still collected 40,000 more mass overall, but Cold Team are now 100 behind because this entire side belongs to a Hot Team. The battleships are cleaning this up, but the battleships are slow to position and aren't able to stop this from over there, and El resigns. I can understand why. His eco was awful. Nova now has far better eco. Will Beregi fight it out? He has got 4 battleships, but look at the map control. And will he have the APM to handle both this and this? Bad game, says Beregi. Well, I disagree. That was hilarious. Beregi resigns. Hot Team wins. What do you think of that? I think that Beregi could have used his navy to capitalise more. Bringing those battleships down as soon as they came out would have possibly swung it in his favour. Sure, he'd have lost his base faster, but this was already lost anyway up here. Whereas bringing these battleships down could have swung it in El's favour here, and especially here. What do you think? Could Cold Team have won that? What did Beregi resign too early? Did Elle resign too early? Did you enjoy the triple com drop? Tell me in the comments below. While you're down there, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and obey. I'm the Commissar, and I will see you next time.